Well, I am here with Patrik Lundstrom of NewCell.
That's right, yes.
Great to have you on the Big Green Show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the basics. What does NewCell do? What is it that the company does?
Well, we actually recycle textiles. We recycle cotton-rich cotton-rich textiles, and we make that into a dissolving pulp.
Yeah.
So what we do is we take, let's say, your old jeans, my old jeans, and we take that into our process like this. This is, if you can see, this is denim. Yeah. And we shred that down to, it's kind of a fluff like this. Yeah. And then we're making a dissolving pulp out of it. Yeah. And then our customers are then making a dope, and then they are pushing that through tiny holes and make a fiber out of it. And this fiber is then being spun into yarns and then into new text and to garments, and new clothes are being made. So in our process we use 100% textiles. Right. So no wood in our process. No. So that, and the quality of the pulp that we have is as good as wood coming from, or dissolving pulp coming from wood.
Get it.
So that is
well, good that we got an explanation to start with, because now I actually understand. But so is this mechanically shredded? Is this done in like a?
That's mechanical shredded, yes.
Yes. To make it smaller and easier to then dissolve, or?
Yes, exactly. And then so first you have a mechanical process, mechanical shredding, and then we'll go into what we call the wet steps.
The wet step. Is this done in the wet step?
That's done in the wet steps. Well, that's actually in the end of the wet steps.
Okay.
And in the wet steps, we are decoloring the material. Okay. So taking out the blue, taking out other colors. And then we are also making the dissolving pulp. You clean it, but you're also making what's called active, which means that it's a little bit more amorphous. So that our customers it's easier for their chemicals actually to move into the molecules and actually dissolve them into the dissolving liquid, which is this. It's called the dope, and then you make the fibers.
Get it. So you deliver basically it in this form or in these bigger sheets?
Yes.
Go get one of the sheets. Yeah.
Look at these sheets. So this is the form that we.
This is what the actual customer gets.
Supply to the customers in big stacks, of course.
Right.
And they are then putting that into their process and dissolving it and then making the fibers.
Yeah, and that's exactly the same process as if they would get pulp from renewable or from the forest.
From the forest,
correct. Exactly. But it's now made from these jeans.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have a bunch of patents. So what's unique in it? What have you been able to do that nobody else has done before? Because you are actually, are you the first to do this on a commercially large scale?
Correct. We are the first to do this on 100% from textiles. There are others out there doing it from a mix of wood and textiles. Right. While we are only using textiles. Yes. And so what's unique here is that we have figured out a way of how to dissolve the cotton fibers, or actually make the cotton fibers active and separate the molecules in a large scale. Right. And that's what the patents are all about. How you actually do that. And we have 5 patents granted already, and we have another 3 on the way.
Okay. So it's chemistry, you could say.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's the chemistry behind it.
And the company was founded by 2 professors from the Royal Institute of Technology. Right, So Patrik Lundstrom and Gunnar Henriksson were the founders, and they found out how to do this. And that was back in 2012, 2013. So there's a lot of R&D that has gone into this. And sometimes we forget in Sweden that one of our foundations in the Swedish economy is pulp and paper industry. And that means also that we have a lot of very skilled and very a lot of experts in the pulp and paper industry. And at the Royal Institute of Technology, there is some of the best scientists in the world, and that is where Patrik Lundstrom and Gunnar Henriksson are coming from, or that's actually where they are working today.
Get it. And was it a little bit of a coincidence almost? Were they trying to make, was it ethanol out of cellulosa-based ethanol at first.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. So they started there, but at the same time, when you do that, you also need to dissolve.
Yes.
And then they saw, wow, well, actually we could do this for dissolving pulp as well.
Yeah, get it. Very cool. And you were actually on the board first, but then you joined as the CEO when you were before the listing, or?
Yeah, well, a little bit before the listing. I was the chairman of the board for a while, and we were working with the strategy and getting the direction for the company. There was a lot of different ideas on what the company should do, out license, selling patents, and so forth. Where we ended up in the strategy was that we want to, what we need to do is actually go for own force.
Yeah.
And own force means that we're going to build our own plants for the next years to come. And the reason is that there's so much IP in the company that needs to be protected.
Yeah.
And if you go for all these other type of business models, it is always a bit concerning when you are letting other people know, because patents are one thing, you can protect those, of course, but we also have a lot of knowledge in just the processing.
Get it.
So that's why we want for own force.
So it requires a bit of investment capital to build it, but then once it's built, of course, I imagine it can be very lucrative.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, we're spending approximately 1.2 to 1.5 billion Swedish into the next plant, which we're building outside of Sundsvall at Ortviken.
Yeah, is that, by the way, in an old pulp and paper
That's
plant?
an old pulp and paper plant, exactly. Yeah. Meaning that we have all the infrastructure already.
Exactly, yeah.
So we have the buildings, we have the wastewater treatment, the steam, the electricity, fresh water in.
Yeah.
But even more importantly, we have very, very good people there.
Yeah.
They are used to working in pulp and paper mills. And so we have hired a lot of people there. SCA had, unfortunately, to close down the paper mills, meaning that about 700 to 800 people were made redundant.
Yeah.
So we have had a fantastic opportunity of picking up a few of those, and we're hoping to pick up more in the future, of course. But that makes the startup of the plant and the staffing of the plant a lot easier for us.
Get it. One man's dead is the other man's bread, as the saying goes. Well, talk a little bit maybe about the custom, because you already have, these are basically garments made out of your material, right?
Correct, yes. So these are made, I think this dress here and this dress here, I think is made from bestseller.
Yeah. Oh, is this viscose then?
This is viscose, 100% viscose.
That
and
you made from your dissolved.
And in there they have mixed in approximately 50% circulose. And the reason to that is that when we're supplying to these customers, if we send in 60 tons, they are adding up another 60 tons with wood viscose. But the reason is that their plants are so big, in order for them to get a long run, they need to add up a little bit. But in principle, we have also shown that we can run this 100% with circulose. So that is already proven. This dress is from H&M.
Yeah.
And these jeans
from Levi's,
are
right?
made from Levi's. These are the female version of their collection Well Thread.
Yeah, exactly.
So that very is cool. Very proud of that collaboration. And Levi's actually said that those jeans were their most sustainable jeans ever. That's
it's nice. Incredible that you've gotten corporations with these brands so early on, actually, in your company history.
It's actually not that strange, to be honest, because if you look at the textile industry, there's three big fibers. It's polyesters, cotton, and viscose. Polyesters have all these problems with microfibers and pumping of oil and
polyester, just for the viewers, it's basically made of oil.
Yes.
So even or it's PT recycled bottles, and then they are made of oil.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you see that recycled polyesters, that is recycled polyester bottles.
Yeah.
So you just give them one more life. It's not that it's being recycled over time. It's just one more time. Give it one more life. And moreover, you take macroplastics and you make it into fibers.
Yeah.
And when you wash your fleece jacket or polyester clothes, because of the surface area of all the fibers combined, you emit a lot of microfibers into the oceans. I
think it's a big part actually of the microplastics come from our washing machines and the polyester fabrics in them.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Unfortunately. The other big fiber is cotton, and cotton might be nice to wear, but it's not nice. It's not very nice to the environment.
No.
If you look at, let's say, the Aral Sea, it's gone. You also have issues with pesticides and fertilizers and God knows what. And the reason is that these are enormous sized monocultures.
Yeah.
And if you have monocultures, of course, you attract insects and other diseases into these monocultures. So you need to have pesticides and so forth. And that is a huge problem with the cotton industry, and it draws a lot of water. Mm. So in Sweden and in some other parts in the world, we think maybe we get a bit too much water. But the matter of the fact is actually that water is a scarce resource on this planet, and especially in these areas where you grow.
Yes,
cotton.
In many places it is.
Yeah. So, and then of course you have the viscose, and the viscose is made from wood today. You've probably seen also in media, wood and trees are being scrutinized of how to, if that is a sustainable.
There's a lot of industries that want to get a hold of them and use them.
Yeah, exactly.
More than there's in the forest, maybe.
Exactly, and we need to move away from unsustainable building sources into sustainable building resources and so forth. So the forestry is an important factor for the turnaround of the climate. But if you then go back then to the brands, so they don't have really alternatives.
No.
And what they talk about when they talk other sustainable alternatives, that is recycled polyester.
Right.
It's actually not really sustainable. The other one is better cotton initiatives or organic cotton, still monocultures. It's just better, it's not good.
Yeah.
And in some areas you also have these slave labor, Xinjiang and province in China and so forth. And then, of course, then you have the wood issue on the viscose side. So what we are able to provide to the brands is a material that is recycled.
Yeah.
And it comes from clothes. So our motto is that you should use your clothes as long as possible. Maybe buy a little bit less. Use them as long as possible. And also mend them once they're done. But sooner or later, they're going to be too damaged, or let's say you can't use them anymore. Bring them back, and that we collect them and bring them back to NewCell, and we can make new clothes out of it. And with these qualities, you don't feel a difference.
No, you really don't.
So when
you really don't.
You're out in the shop and you can buy clothes with a clear conscience, and that's our offering to the brands, and I think that's why we get so much attention from the brands. Yeah. They don't have alternatives, and we're able to give them an alternative that actually helps them with their sustainability profile, because there's a lot at stake for them.
Yeah, this is a big leap then on the sustainability ladder for them.
Yeah.
Well, you've done also some life cycle analysis, so looking at the environmental impact from cradle to grave, or cradle to cradle even, of your material. How does it stack up then?
Well, the life cycle analysis that was made was ordered by Stella McCartney, and it was made by SCS Global Systems. So it's actually a standalone LCA. LCA. We have only provided our materials and the input into it. And it came out that we actually have a 2 kilos of carbon negative, meaning that by leaving the trees standing, then carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the trees. But also we don't use hardly any water compared to cotton. We don't use any pesticides, of course. We don't use any land. We also don't provide microplastics to the oceans and so forth. So we came out fantastically in that LCA. which we're very proud of. So
I
that's,
can imagine. Did they actually take a dress then and compare that to a dress made from cotton or how was it made? The comparison.
the comparison was towards a dress. It was actually all the way through to garments.
Right.
So
Okay, I get it. Yeah. So up until a finished garment was then supposed to be turned into something.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, get it. Yeah. Yeah, that would be the way to do it, of course. Good. We've gone through a lot. I have some more. I want to know a bit about the pricing. Can you make this at the same cost as the competing materials? And how do you price it?
Yes, we can. I mean, that's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
and also why brands are so interested. If you look at other sustainable fibers, they are priced at from anywhere from $2,500 per ton up to 5,000, let's say. We are pricing ourselves in the lower range of sustainable fibers, so in the range of 2,200 to 2,500. That is on the fiber side. So that's when you can compare cotton with polyester, with viscose, and so forth. If you take unsustainable materials, they are priced a bit less. Cotton today is about 1,500, 1,800 maybe today.
Okay.
And if you take viscose, it's probably at that range right now. It's somewhere about 2,000 to 2,200. So if you look at fibers made from viscose from trees, for example, from viscose made from textiles, it's about the same price today. Viscose prices pulp prices are fluctuating, but that's pretty much where it should be in the long run. So we are pricing ourselves to a level where our customers, the brands, they should not have to pay a lot more. I think it's $1 on a pair of jeans or so.
Right. Yeah. That says a lot about the margins in the jeans business.
Maybe. Maybe. But what we also want to do, we don't want to price ourselves in a situation where we create bottlenecks throughout the value chain.
No.
Because we also have a very nice margin on this. So the margin which we have been official with is that we have 43% in margin in this. And when you have that kind of margin, the name of the game is not to squeeze your value chain.
No.
It is scale. And that's what we're going for. And also then we don't want to create bottlenecks throughout the value chain for our customers.
No, get it. So the plant that you are building now, how many tons will it be able to squeeze out a year?
60,000 metric tons.
60,000 metric tons.
Yeah.
And 1 ton was priced at approximately...
1 ton is priced at $1,200 per ton.
Yes, so that gives us an idea.
And a little bit more.
Yeah. Of what that plant could potentially generate if the market accepts those volumes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, what have we not gone through here? Well, the whole, just the take back. Let's just touch upon that. Where do you get the materials from today?
We're buying that on the market today.
Yeah.
And we buy it from sorters.
Yeah.
We buy it from textile factories.
Right.
You have these spills on, let's say, when you make a pair of jeans, it's like a paper cookie dough. You have some leftovers.
Yeah.
That's what we also buy. And there is an industry already. So you buy it in bales.
Yeah.
And we put it directly into our plant. And here we're buying from all over the world.
Yeah.
So Sweden is actually not that strong in collecting clothes at this moment in time compared to, let's say, Germany or Netherlands or France.
Okay.
And even China is quite strong in collecting textiles.
Because it's a lot, right? That just goes back to the landfills.
Yeah.
Isn't it like it's more than 90% of all clothes just go to landfill?
Yeah, actually less than 1% is being recycled.
Yeah.
And the majority goes to landfill being burnt.
Yeah.
And of course, we cannot have a situation in the world where we're pumping oil, agriculture and cotton, and taking out of the earth either cotton or viscose, and then we're running it through the value chain one time, and then we burn it or put it on landfill, meaning basically that's a slow oxidation and burning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need to create sustainable circular systems
Yeah.
in all our product flows. What we can contribute with is, of course, a circular flow in the textile industry.
Yeah. Well, it's a big contribution, I think, from the environmental impact of that industry.
Yeah.
How many times can you just keep recycling this? Is there a limit to it?
We don't know exactly, but we have shown that we can recycle it 6 to 7 times.
Okay.
In lab scale, we've shown that
Yeah.
already. So that we know that we can. If it's going to be 6 or 10 or 15, we don't know yet.
No. Get it. Well, final question. How is this? You are now listed on Nasdaq First North.
Yeah.
Since how long? Is it half a year or a year?
Yes, a little bit more actually. It was November 28 last year.
Yeah. Well, having been CEO of a company there myself for a while, I know it's a war it's quite a war of the eyeballs. You have to actually get attention, and you've managed to do that. How has this listing been for you? How is this experience?
Actually, I think listing is quite nice as a company. What you need to have is you need to have your duck in the row. You need to be able to report correct, and you need to know what you're doing and so forth. And at the same time, you also need to keep your shareholders informed.
Yes.
And that's also in accordance with the MAR rules, the MAR rules.
Yeah. Which you live and breathe by when you are listed.
Yes, of course. And so what we've been trying to do is just to be open and transparent and give information to the market on a ongoing basis. We also, of course, are trying to profile the company, that we are on the way and the plant is starting up. But actually, the majority of the work, it doesn't go in that direction. The majority of the work has been in negotiating all these contracts for all the equipment. So we got the money by the end of last year, and we just switched directly. Actually, part of the team had already switched towards negotiations with the equipment suppliers.
Right.
So that was all of Q1 was just negotiations, and you can imagine. I mean, these contracts are big, so a lot of work has been going into that, and then at the same time establish and running the project.
Yeah.
So the project is up and running very nicely. Of course, you always have day-to-day issues to take care of, but at this moment in time, it looks like we're coming in on budget, and we're going to start up on time. So end of Q2 next year. So everything is running nicely at this moment in time, but knock on wood on that, of course, that we don't get into trouble.
No, of course. Well, it's fascinating to hear the whole story. Also fascinating to hear when you're building a plant that actually negotiating these purchases of the parts takes a lot of the work.
Yeah, of course. It's and these contracts. I mean, we're spending just on equipment. We're spending in the range of 750, 800 million euros.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money, and of course, I mean, you need to be careful with every single dime that you have, because I mean, if you have a deviation of just 1%, that's 8 million crowns. So that's a lot of money. So you have to really keep it under control, and we talk about it. We have a set meeting every Friday where we go through the financials every week, just to make sure that we're on top of everything. It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It's a lot of money to spend well. Yeah. Well, great to talk to you, and let's hope we see way more of these in our stores the years to come.
I'm looking forward. It's actually coming already. It's more launches on the way.
Cool. We'll look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kanon!